Ah, last week I didn't dance, you dance. This week I dance, you don't dance. What a
I was
waste.
just, you know what? I was just enjoying my bro energy drink. Bro.
I hope you're getting paid for that advertising. Yeah, bra.
Where did I
Energy drink.
find this? I found this in not home bargains.
Look
This
at the
whole
colour of
we've
it,
got
though.
home bargains and a B&M's. It was home bargains. 65p for a sugar-free energy drink. Sugar-free. Always sugar-free, Graham.
He's getting paid for a lot of advertising here, isn't he? Jeez.
No, there's no
B&I, home,
advertising.
B&M, home bargains, bra, energy. But look at the colour of it. Jeez. Anyway, good afternoon, folks. I hope everybody is well. If you are out there watching us, please drop us a comment so we know that you're there. It would be great to hear from you, and you can comment all the way through and tell us that you're enjoying the show, that you agree with what we're saying, or you can tell us that we're talking a load of cobblers. We don't really mind.
Yes.
But before we get started, the one, the only, I'm going to introduce you to the legend that is Cuddy Schwarzenegger Cudworth.
Oh, it's not Schwarzenegger. No, I got beasted. By the way, thank you very much for that introduction. And we will discuss a little bit about the competition that I did at the weekend.
Of course.
Because I've now realized I don't need to be as big as I am to do the competitions, because I got beaten in the competition by a 5'3", maybe 5'4", 15 stone fella at just amazing. I was like, you're like an ant. So I do strongman competitions. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, to this side. Yeah, it'd be good if the hand went through. It'd be cool if the hand went through, and I just. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. The one, the only, my mentor, Graham Nichols. Everybody, Graham Nichols. I can't see the legend. I can't see the legend. That used to be my term there. The one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Graham Nichols.
I use legend. I used legend in yours just before the Cuddy Arnold Schwarzenegger Cudworth. I used the legend.
Yes.
Anyway, folks, so today we are talking about if you are not willing to help yourself, how do you expect to see any changes? And this is the truth. And it's something we talk about quite a lot as coaches. And when you're training to be a coach in that, is that some people have this perception that as coaches, we can help anybody.
Nope.
And coaches, when we start out, often think, we're just going to help everybody. I don't care. We're just going to. And the truth is that we can't help everybody. We can only help the people who actually want the help, because people have to decide to make the change. I know that sounds ridiculous, but people do.
Not that it sounds ridiculous. It's not that it sounds ridiculous. And I know we're going to get to the serious part of the show, but when you first become a coach, and it was for me 2 years ago, we do have that mindset of we can help everyone. And Graham, tell me if you didn't do this. You try and help people that say, what you're talking about, I don't want any help, right?
Yeah, leave me the heck alone. What are you talking about? Stop talking about that stuff to me.
So you do get a little bit of hot water, because I think most coaches, therapists, healers, whatever you want to call people, they come from a place of they want to help. So if you see people struggling, you see people not in a place of abundance or really, really maximizing their time in life, you think, oh, would you like some help? Most people are like, no, I don't.
No, leave me alone.
It is a fine line, which is why you've got to build the audience so people come to you. And that's something that, a lot of people maybe we don't understand. And that's the tricky thing about it, is because once you know and train to have the skills, you know that some people need them, but that's not a you place to be able to tell them that, is it? I learned that one the hard way. Bearing in mind, and like you said, Graham, it's not like we can help everybody, because there's people in my own family, I'm not going to mention any names, that really should be doing some of the things that I do on a daily basis. But you're absolutely right. It's a hard no.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, even to be fair, even sometimes clients who come to us haven't really decided that they want to make a change in life. They come to us thinking we can make the change for them as coaches. We can never make changes for anybody without that a client or anybody else wanting to actually make the changes first. And that's why when we were talking about the title of this particular episode of the show, it's why it came up, because we've both had people, we both know people that they say they want to change, but they don't really. Somewhere deep inside, they don't really want to change. And if people don't really want to change and don't want to help themselves, there's no way we can help them as coaches.
Yes.
And that goes through life, whether you're going to a coach or not, or whether you're just going through life. If you keep saying, "Oh, I want to change and I want to change and I want to change," but you don't actually do something towards that change, then guess what? It's never going to change, right?
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to be discussing, and I want to really clear this word up as well, because this word, if you're not understanding of the term and the reference, could incite a meaning that we're not referencing per se. But I think today we're going to discuss victim mindset. I think that's going to be a big part of the conversation that we're going to have today, that there is a term that is classed as victim mindset. I used to be in the victim mindset. I didn't know I was in the victim mindset. I've not been a victim of anything through my life apart from myself. I think that's a really good way to explain it, to be honest with you, Graham. But
Yeah.
Having a victim mindset does not make you a victim.
No.
If you're in a
It doesn't make you a victim of crime or anything like that. We're not talking about that at all.
No, and also if you realize you have been a victim of something, that doesn't mean to say that you have a victim mindset.
Absolutely.
And I think that should be clear, because I know that's going to be a big topic of the discussion today. But once you recognize your own mindset, you actually will start seeing changes. And it comes from a place of not holding yourself accountable, because we don't know how to hold ourselves accountable. And I think that's the biggest part. I didn't know how to hold myself accountable. And I will do the story again today of who stole my sausage, because it's a very simple, very clear analogy that people will constantly steal your sausages, but you're in charge of your emotions, your thoughts, and that's something you can work on. When you're not, and you're blaming other people for your circumstances, that's when we start creating a belief system of the victim. Is that fair to say, Graham?
I think, I think you've described it really well, though. It is about blaming not just other people, but blaming the world, or blaming the universe, or blaming the cat or the dog, or the car over there, or whatever it may be. If you are blaming something else, if you are using something else or somebody else as an excuse as to why you're not where you want to be, or you don't have the job you want, or you don't have the relationship you want, or the money you want, or whatever it is, if you are blaming somebody else or use an excuse of something else around you, that's then the victim mindset, because you're saying that life is happening to me and I have no control over it whatsoever. The victim mindset shifts when you, and you use the word accountability, I'll use the word responsibility, whichever one you want to choose. When you take accountability and responsibility for your life, and you decide that if you want that job, or you want that amount of money, or you want that relationship, then it's your job to go and get it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else or anything else does. It sits with you. And that's when you step out of the victim mindset, right?
I think that's a really good way of doing it. I just thought, I know that it's such a tricky term when we're talking about victim mindset, because it can be misconstrued, and I didn't want that for anybody. And I would say that a lot of the victims that I've met of horrible things and heinous crimes actually really don't sit in the victim mindset, to be honest with you. It actually makes them the champions that they are, the fighters, the survivors. So for anyone that's listening there, that's a really powerful thing. So I think, I suppose we're kind of touching on consciousness a little bit here as well, and the consciousness that we sit at, and the 4 stages of the consciousness, and that's where depression can often reside in. So we're going to be talking about depression as well, and the stigma of it, because it is kind of a hard thing that when you're stuck in a depression cycle, there's still a stigma of what depression is. It's a mental illness. Mental health and mental illness is 2 different things. Yeah. People are.
I have stuck on my wall here.
Right.
I have a description of what a mental illness is.
Right.
Because I did some research. So a mental illness, as defined by those in the medical profession, is a complex diagnosed condition that is not just part of everyday life and is diagnosed via a standard and specific criteria. So mental illnesses are something that is diagnosed by specialists. Mental health is something that we deal with every single day, because mental health, in basic terms, means our emotions. Mental health is about your emotions, and we call it mental health and we assume that it's all sat up there. But if as you all must know, if you're feeling a particular emotion, you feel it throughout your entire body. You don't just sit there and think happy, you feel happy. You don't just sit there and think depressed, you feel depressed in your entire body. That makes it an emotion. And that's the difference between a mental health issue and a mental health illness. Mental health illnesses are diagnosed by specialists. That's the difference.
So let's use that in the term of you, Graham. I'm very well versed in your story, but you would. I think this is why people get confused. When you go to a doctor and they say you're diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Now we know what depression and anxiety is, and it's not as scary as we believe it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you're diagnosed by a doctor,
I use the word specialist very carefully there, because if you go to a doctor, they're called a GP or a general practitioner. Well, that's what they do. They practice generally. They cover every single area of you. I'm talking about specialists who deal with mental illness. That's who needs to diagnose you with a mental illness, not your doctor, not your local doctor, you're not your local GP. Yes, they can diagnose you with depression, and I hold my hands up. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and stress 22, 23 odd years ago. I was. But that's not a mental illness. It's mental health. And the thing I dislike, I think, the most about the term mental health is it has got to the point where it's been used that much that people think that mental health is purely a bad thing. But we can have good mental health as well. We can have balanced mental health. Being happy is good mental health. Being excited is good mental health. Being calm, being relaxed, they're all good mental health. But the moment people hear that term mental health, they automatically think the negative side. And I think it's really, really important that we understand that mental health is just a term. It's a term for your emotions. That's all mental health is. And I really need to get that across to people, that if you hear the term mental health, it doesn't necessarily mean that
you're
somebody
mental.
is firing and out of control, or you're mental. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't mean you're mental
that way. Yeah. People see going to a therapist or a coach or something like that. Well, I'm not crazy. I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm not mental. I didn't say you're mental either. What I'm saying is you need a bit of help. You'd go to a doctor if you've got a backache, or if you've got the flu or something. So if you've got an emotional issue, go to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And get it resolved. And that's what we're talking about today. So great clarity there. I appreciate that you brought those clarity points up.
Well, I think we should, even if we had to talk about that in every live show that we do, because it's important. It is important. And especially the diagnoses. And I'm a mind management coach, so I had a chat with somebody this morning. I said, look, it's all in the mind. Have you heard that reference? It's all in the mind.
I might have heard that.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, because we can manage that, and you manage that with a mind management coach, right? That was absolutely the stick. And it is all in the mind, and it comes from years and years and years of pushing things down into the subconscious mind. Your memory, the cloud. Consider it the cloud. You've got to keep your memories in there. When I'm talking to most of my clients, most of them, because I've been working with businesses recently that have now employed my services. And anybody's got a challenge, you're going to get booked straight in. You get VIP access straight in any time of the day, and you get a session, so you can ask questions, you can ask about those things, and you can get the mindset where you want to be and stuff like that. Even when that service is free to some of the staff, they're still nervous about coming through and say, oh, can I do a chat? Not a problem. And they always say the same thing to me. Oh, I just think I'm broken. Oh, do I need fixing? Is there something wrong with me? No. So I'll even put out there that one of my clients recently is on antidepressants. And I had to find out. I said, okay, let's go through the backstory of why you are on antidepressants. Not in a place to tell you to get off antidepressants in any way whatsoever. Would you like to get off them? Yes, I would. Not a problem. You can talk to your doctor about that. Find out why you're on antidepressants. Because, Graham, I'm going to say that one more time for effect. Because, Graham, he's just an overthinker. Nothing else. I know, Graham. I know.
We're not medical professionals, so we can't comment on such stuff.
But just for overthinking, nothing else.
Yeah.
Most people overthink. I was absolutely stuck with overthinking. Nearly lost my wife because of it. Nearly lost my family because of it. Overthinking is something you shouldn't allow in your life. You should start seeking, right, what's going on? You're stuck in a place of fear. Let's work on it. Go and see a coach. Go and see whatever you need to do to get you from where you want to do. But if we're not willing to help yourself, how do you expect to see any changes? Is the message of the show. And we want to talk about this. We're going to go right back into victim mindset now. Right. Victim mindset, where you blame others for how you're feeling. How many people do you think do that, Graham?
I think it's that there's a large proportion of people do that in some way, and then a smaller proportion of people do that entirely. And it can be so many different things. It can be my wife does this, my husband does that, the kids do this, or you can get to the situation where somebody's trying to do something and somebody else is more successful at it. Oh, well, they're just lucky, and I don't get the look or anything like that. That's all about somebody else or something else has control over your life. And I think we're all capable of it at times, but I think some people really get set into that idea that life is against them in some way. And I'm going to sit here and hold my hands up and tell you quite honestly that is my mother all over. My mum is victim mindset 100% and has been for her entire life. She just is. She's victim mindset. The world is against her in my mother's eyes. So I know all about victim mindset, believe me.
And how did you first find out about victim mindset?
I think I read it in a coaching book somewhere many years ago. And I read it, and then I reread it, and then I read it about 10 other times, and it was just one chapter on it. And I kept all the time reading it thinking, they are just describing my mother. That's just all I could think. And I just read it over and over. And the end of the chapter, they said, and it's very clear, and I remember the final sentence very clearly, was if somebody isn't willing to see their life from another perspective, then you can't change that perspective for them. And that resonated with me and still resonates with me today. Because if somebody is stuck in that place and they are not willing to step out of that little circle that they're in to see the world differently, then you can't do anything for them. If you might be stuck in that place, anybody who's listening out there, take a step outside the circle just for a little while. Might be scary as heck, but there's a bigger, better world out there than being stuck in there. You have to be willing to make a change, go through the scary bit to actually make the change. You just have to. What about you, Cuddy? How many, do you know anybody? Now, obviously you don't have to name names, but do you know people that are stuck in the victim mindset?
I mean, it's harsh. Honestly, I'm not going to name names.
No, absolutely not. We wouldn't do that.
But I would definitely say your mother is in the victim mindset. Just because you announced that.
Let me put it a different way then too.
If I've got 10 family members, I would say 6 of them are in the mindset, the victim mindset. 6 of them.
And what's your experience of the victim mindset?
I was in the victim mindset, yes. I failed something and I couldn't see how it was my fault. And I used to be the kind of person that liked to be right. And I would go out of my way to prove people wrong because that was I didn't realize that came from a place of insecurity of not being good enough with myself. And me being right, I thought meant something to me, which is total bollocks. It means nothing. And I think it might have been an Oprah Winfrey quote, probably not hers, but I still remember this day. And I asked this for a lot of people. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? They are not mutually exclusive. And a lot of the times when I ask people that question, they say, I'd rather be right. And I'm like, well, carry on and see where that road goes. Because I think I've traveled down that road. And I was the driver of the bus, and there was a lot of people behind me, and it wasn't pretty. And it comes from a place of fear. So when you're stuck in, it's easier to blame the council, the government, all these horrible things that's going on, the TV, the news, than to actually start looking. And I'm sure it's a Tony Robbins quote of focus goes where energy flows, or energy goes where focus goes. If you're focused on the problem.
He borrowed it or modeled it from Napoleon Hill.
But in all fairness, from what I'm understanding, everything's modeled from Napoleon Hill.
There's an awful lot. If you read his book, Think and Grow Rich, you'll see an awful lot of stuff from a wide range of coaches and motivational speakers and all that just pick it out of that book. Yeah,
even Bob Proctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything. The secret is Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It is.
Now, if you've not looked into Napoleon Hill, get some books on Napoleon Hill. I've got one. I didn't get Think and Grow Rich because everybody had that. I was reading. We used to read a chapter a week because it was 52. It was 52 weeks, 52 chapters. Change your life in a year. And it is a good book, and you have to keep rereading the same chapter every day until it sinks in. I was like, do you know what? This is it's a very good book. Yeah, so Napoleon Hill, way back in the day, absolutely the godfather of gurus, I would have expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and all based on research as well. So.
And Jim Rohn as well. Jim Rohn, I was a big fan of. I used to like listening to his audiobooks and stuff like that, because once you actually open the curtains to blame. Once you think, let's see if there's anything else, I'm going to get past the blame of pointing fingers and start saying, actually, it could be me. Because we used to get, and I use this analogy all the time. I'm like, I used to be the kind of person that 100% said, it's not me that's at fault. If I just change these 100 people around me, I'll be all right. Because it's not me. It's these 100 people that are annoying me and bothering me. And I tried to change those 100 people one at a time. And that's victim mindset. You're blaming all this instead of working on this. And the second you start working on one, which is singular, which is I, you will start to see a change by actually, hang on a minute, if I hold myself accountable, the reason I failed at whatever I was failing at was because I wasn't ready for it. It wasn't my time at that moment in time. But if I work on this, this, and this, it will be my time, and it will be what I deserve, because I've picked myself back up, brushed myself off from the failure, of which is going to happen, and I'm going to go and get mine. And that's the beauty of changing the mindset. And I think it's Carol S. Dwecker, which is a phenomenal book for anybody that wants to read, which is the mindset. Carol S. Dwecker wrote the book on mindset. She has fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Which fixed mindset is basically victim mindset, and growth mindset is the champion's mindset. Where fixed mindset, you get defensive. You can't move forward. You create excuses. You create problems, not solutions. And you won't take feedback. Feedback is seen as criticism for that seed of, well, I was never good enough anyway, so I was never going to survive at this. Growth mindset is actually take feedback. That's probably something I've not focused on. You don't have to take all the feedback in the world, but there'll be some feedback that'll be like, yeah, that's something I can work on. Listen to other people, listen to ideas, look for solutions, not the problems. Become the solution, not the problem. And that's the change in mindset. And see how much your life changes. Because monkey mind, absolutely, is the first thing to attack, shut things down. And my monkey mind's still erratic. I've noticed it recently, still getting quite erratic. And And people say, I wasn't saying that. No, you're absolutely right. That's not what you were saying. So our monkey mind, our emotions, again, it's emotions. And you can't control your monkey mind.
Absolutely.
You have to learn how to manage it and understand it.
Yeah. And I think there's an important something just to clear up. As I'm hearing you talking, there's something going through my head. There's something important to clear up. We're sitting here saying, nothing can control us. It's not about somebody else doing something and all of that sort of stuff. But people do have circumstances in their lives. And some people might sit there and going, well, like, this is the circumstance I'm in. This has happened to me. And things do happen to us in life. We can't help it, whether it be somebody passes away or we get fired from a job or whatever it may be, we get made redundant, whatever it may be, things happen to us. The things that happen to us are not our responsibility. How we react to those things, that's our responsibility. And that is about, if you're not willing to help yourself, how do you expect to see change? Because if you just accept that what happens to you, oh, well, that's crap in it, I'll just have to live with that, then you're not going to see any change. If something happens to you and you go, okay, exactly what you just said, Cuddy, where do I find the solutions? This is the problem. Where do I find the solutions? Then you are moving out of the victim mindset and you're moving towards where you want to get to. And I've used it on this show before, and I've used it no end of other times as well. The solution to a problem is never in the problem itself. No. Never. If you focus on the problem, you will never find the solution. If you focus on where the solution could be, then you're going to find a solution to it.
I'm sure it's an Einstein quote. To back that up, Einstein, one of the greatest. Einstein always used to say, I'm not a smart person. I'm actually not a smart man. Didn't do well at school. There's a lot of quotes for Einstein that's not actually Einstein quotes. And one of those quotes is, you don't teach a goldfish how to be a giraffe or something like that. If you teach a goldfish how to climb a tree, the goldfish will think it's stupid. And he always said, that wasn't a him quote. That was a something else quote. They just stuck a picture of Einstein in. But Einstein, I read one of Einstein's books because Einstein was a big believer in cycling. He got most of his ideas and inventions when he was off cycling in flow state. So he was a big believer in flow state. But Einstein says, if you've got a problem, he says, dedicate an hour. An hour, he said, 55 minutes, I used to think about the problem. 55 minutes. I gave 55 minutes to the problem. He says, and I gave 5 minutes to the solutions. And I used that 5 minutes to solve the problems that I solved. This is because you'll never, ever, ever solve a problem looking from the problem. You've got to look at it from the solution side. And if Einstein said that, I'm sure Napoleon Hill said that as well. Yeah,
must be
absolutely. So, for anyone that's listening, you've started, right, because I went through this as well. So I'm always I was the kind of person, right, no, it's okay. I own the day. I own the day. No, yeah, I've read this book. Now I own the day. Right, I'm in charge. I've read the books. Now I know how to do things. So by 9:30 in the morning, something would have pissed me off and I said, that's it. It's another ruined day. That would put me back into victim mindset. And that was because I still wasn't understanding me. And I was still letting my emotions, my monkey mind, control me. So for anyone that's trying something right now, it could be weight loss, it could be moving into a new job or all those kind of things. Graham, why is it we fall back into old habits?
Because they're habits is the honest answer to that. They're patterns that we run. As human beings, we run patterns for a living. It's what we do. We get up in the morning and we run a pattern. We go and eat lunch and we run a pattern. We do our work and we run a pattern. That's just what we do. If those patterns are so ingrained in us, which so many of them are, we are going to fall back into them unless we identify those patterns and decide to change them. And what you were just saying there about, I've read all the books and I've taken the course and, I'm ready to do this now. There is a distinct difference between reading the books, doing the courses, learning everything there is to learn, and actually doing it for yourself. Because there are an awful lot of smart people out there not doing anything for themselves and struggling, because they're smart up there because they've read the books and they've taken the courses and they know they're capable, but they won't actually go out and do it. The difference is exactly what you said, that people learn what they want to learn, but then don't act on what they learn and use it for themselves. You know, if I'm training a coach or a group of coaches, those people have got to go through it first. I say it in so many of my courses. The reason I take you through the questionnaires and stuff is so that you go through it first, so that you know what it's like when you're taking a client through it. You've got, as a coach, you've got to know that. You've got to know what your client is going to be experiencing. And there are so many people that just don't do that. If you're going to go and be, I don't know, a doctor, if you don't know how to diagnose yourself, if you can't think, hang on a minute, my heart's feeling a bit dicky, yeah, what am I going to do about it? Oh, well, I'll just ignore it and leave it and I'll go and help those people over there. Guess what? You ain't going to be very healthy for very long.
I've got a friend in, Tony. Tony's from Monkey Mind Relaxation. Tony O'Hagan. Absolutely fantastic. Well done for commenting, Tony. So hi both. Yeah. Even worse, they will buy the book and not read it. You're absolutely right. There's so many people that
stat around that. There's a statistic around that for particularly for self-help and personal development books, and it does seem that it transfers into courses around that area as well. Only about 8% of people who buy a book ever even start it, let alone finish it. 8%. How many books have you got that you haven't started, Goody?
I'm looking at the books. I'm looking at the books, Graham. I'm looking at the books now. And I'm like, there's not a chance I'm going to read any of those. And I bought a book because you recommended it from one of your courses, and it was the Carl Rogers. And when the book came through, I'm like, oh, that's a big book. I read about the first 2 chapters. I'm like, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not ready for this. Because that's what we do.
Tony, you're absolutely spot on.
Tony, welcome to the conversation. You're more than welcome to rattle off any questions while you're here and stuff like that. So, now, because we know, Graham, full well, we know you bought the book, you've created the mindset. Monday, I'm going to start something. And we talked about this. I'm not a fan of setting goals. I like a destination. Yeah. But setting goals that I have to follow, I think it should be more organic. I don't know if that's because I get bored sometimes with like strict regimen, because there's a little bit of joy took out of that. But I know that for a lot of people is actually where the success is. Remove the joy, remove the happiness, stick to the course, and you'll actually get to where you need to be and stuff like that. I still know that one of my pleasures is joy and a little bit of happiness. And I think if I've done well, I should give myself a little treat. I don't know if that's a Brendan Burchard thing. Because I'm like, no, where is your joy? Where is your treat? It's all right doing all these things, but you should bring yourself some joy every day. Most people, sometimes struggle to give themselves a little bit of joy. So the one thing, unless you work with a coach or a therapist or anything like that, until you really is, when you do the books and you do the course and all those kind of things, is what stops people is fear. They just don't know what the fear is and they don't realize. And then we create the story, well, I have anxiety, so I can't do something. And I just did a live lecture for Marissa Peer last night. Did I just drop Marissa Peer's name there? Let me just catch that name. Let me just pick that name up.
Pick it up, drop it again.
I did. Do you know what's your beliefs about yourself? And they were all like, oh, this is real. They found it absolutely fascinating because they found out about themselves. And then they all asked the questions, well, how do you overcome that? I'm like, if only you knew a mind management coach you could work with one-on-one. Because I've got one of my phenomenal clients is all the way in, and we just keep working together because he's like, right, I want to be held accountable. So I've got a phenomenal client. Thank you very much to Graham for that one. All the way over in the States. Does not have any mental health challenges, emotional health, wants to be coached on success, finding his purpose, and being held accountable to create something. And he only turned up to one session. Oh, I didn't do what we were supposed to do. Not a problem. That's not a me problem. That's a you. No, I know, but I really enjoy it. Not a problem. Let's find out why. So we always go down and dig down to what's the fear, what's the fear, what's the fear. And we're pulling those layers of onion away. And I have to say, so I genuinely enjoy coaching that person as well, because I'm like, no, it's completely different coaching with you. And he's creating viral content on YouTube now because of working with a mind management coach. So coaching's for success. That's why we say we're coaches, we're not therapists. I think we've got a different take on therapy. From my understanding, therapy can keep you there, counseling keeps you there, coaches move you forward. And I think that's the powerful thing of coaching and stuff. I'm not saying there's anything a problem with counseling or therapy in any way whatsoever. But I know that the modalities that we use get you moving forward. And I've always been a big fan of, in fact, most of my clients have said, oh, I've been in counseling and I've been in therapy. It didn't work for me. Not a problem. Let's give this a try. Once you're ready, and I always ask him, are you ready to do the work? And if the answer is yes, you will move. You will 100% move forward. And that's been a really powerful thing and a powerful part of the journey that I've had. Because a lot of people, it's the excuses that we create for why we've not achieved what we wanted to achieve. Whether it's the promotion at work, Graham, whether it's the changing of the house, changing of the circumstances, listen to your excuses. Your excuses are just fear. It's just fear. It's nothing else. You can blame other people for why you're not moving, but it's a fear within yourself. And it's not as hard as we like to believe to get past that fear. What's your thoughts on that, Graham?
I think it's not. I'm going to use an old quote from a film. It might be from a film. I'm not sure. It might be from a book. The only fear is fear itself.
Is that not a president's quote? Ford.
It might be. I don't know. I can't
Henry
remember.
Ford.
But it might be. I'm not sure. But that's the truth. We fear the fear more than we fear actually doing the thing that we should be doing. We fear what it might feel like when we haven't even experienced what it would feel like. And that's the truth. You've mentioned the word a couple of times, and I want to make sure the people who are watching really understand how to start moving themselves forward. And you've mentioned the word accountability a couple of times. So yes. How do you start? It was President FDR. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Tony. Tony's very intelligent. He knows a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah, we should have him on the radio show, but then we would be showing up a bit. So you've mentioned accountability a few times. How do people start to take or to make themselves accountable? How do people start that journey?
You've got self-awareness. The self-awareness of listening to the amount of time you will. I don't think people understand the linguistics of how they're stopping themselves on a daily basis. And can't, won't, didn't. How often does that pop up in your vocabulary on a daily basis? There's words that trigger me. I get triggered by people's conversations. I used to get triggered into a place of, right, let's have a chat. But that was my old job. Now, I can. Somebody asked me the other day, are you a mind reader? I'm like, no, I'm a mind management coach. Well, how is it you know what I'm thinking? I said, I don't know what you're thinking. But in the last 3 conversations we've had, you've told me what you're thinking. Well, how have I told you? You've told me you can't do this, you don't do this, you won't do this, which tells me you have a fear of not being good enough. Well, that's not true. Not a problem. Book in for a session. Let's see if we can work on that. And within 2 sessions, they're like, oh, it's because I don't feel like I'm good. Yeah, still a fear. Your subconscious mind does not know a difference between a fear of death and a fear of not being good enough. There's no judgment. It just senses fear and pulls you back. It just senses fear. So any kind of fear, I have fear. I still have fear on a daily basis. We talk about it and we work on it and resolve it, Graham. Of course we do. It's about understanding. Listen to what you're saying. And one of the big ones for me is the amount of times everybody on a daily basis just going to the post office tells themselves, I'm stressed. You are literally commanding yourself to have a shitty day. Just by linguistically, if you are stressed for going to the post office, find out why. Have a word with yourself. What is it about going to the post office that makes you stressed? Because the reasons you have will not be real. It'll be some fabrication of a truth that's not even yours. But you're absolutely right. You are stressed because you are telling yourself you are stressed. Well, this has been a really good chat. I've been very passionate about this one.
I've noticed. I've hardly say anything. I love it.
Bless you. You're telling yourself these emotions that you don't want in your life. And Graham, we had this conversation before the show. I've started walking away from situations and conversations now because I'm like, you know what I do? You're telling me you're depressed. You're telling me this. You're telling me this. You're telling me this. There's solutions everywhere. Even if you go to the Works, which is a bookshop on most high street, you can get a book for $3.99 that will resolve the challenges that you're having. But you do need, and a lot of the times, actually, I've just been talking to a few people, because I know money is a problem for a lot of people. I know money is a problem, and I'm always like, look, believe it or not, I've got a course that's this price is £79. You do this course, and everything you're talking about will absolutely get resolved. It'll get resolved. It'll go away. What you're talking about, do you want it to go away? Yes. How much would you pay? Oh, I'd pay thousands. You don't have to. £79. Do this course, and all the things that you have going on or you believe you've got going on will go away if you want to do the work. Most of those people have now said, no, we want to do the one-on-one. We want to do the one-on-one coaching. I'm like, okay, but I gave you this really, really affordable option. But yes, you can absolutely, you can work with me one-on-one. Totally understand. And I'm really empowered by so many people wanting to make changes in their life right now. And I think that is fantastic. I'll be honest with you, the people that do. It's the ones that are still stuck there. And it's if you can understand mindset and how powerful it is, and touching back on that victim mindset, the second you realize you're probably causing your own stress by the way you're reacting to things, why you're reacting to the thoughts that you have, which are not real. Because a lot of people, Graham, you might be able to jump on this one as well. The reaction to the thoughts, people think because the thoughts that they're having, the overthinking that they're having, they are mental, they are going around the bend. And where's that thought come from? I was there, Graham. I literally would look at my wife sometimes thinking, I've just had a thought. Well, I'm like, where did that come from? And until I found out that might have been from a movie that I watched when I was 6 years old. And it will have been a conversation that might have been going on in the background, but I didn't realize. It might have been from a Chucky movie that I saw when I was 6 years old or something like that. And then we recreate that conversation in a voice. Well, where's that come from? Oh my God, am I creating these things in my mind? And your imagination is a scary but beautiful and powerful thing if you want to use it for what you want to use it. But the thoughts and the conversations that we have, that's what I'm always about, Graham. What's your take on it?
I think it's for me to help people out there if they want to start becoming more accountable for themselves. I would suggest that somewhere towards the end of the day, sitting down for 10 or 15 minutes and looking back across the day and looking back at the emotions you've had, particularly the ones that you wouldn't want anymore, and look at the language that you've used.
Yeah.
And if you think this person has made me stress or that's made me stress, look at that language and understand that you're responsible for that emotion, not anybody else. We've talked about victim mindset already. But also look back at the stuff that you know you should have done, but you stopped yourself doing, and how you stopped yourself from doing it. Again, it's not about other people stopping you or the situation stopping you or the dog stopping you. It's about how you have stopped yourself. And then take responsibility for that and hold yourself accountable for not doing that tomorrow. That would be my starting point. The other way to help yourself be accountable is to get an accountability partner. And
I like that. I do that. Yeah.
Accountability partners are really, really important, but it's also really, really important that you get the right accountability partners.
Yeah.
Because bless, our friends and our family, very often they love us, they care for us, but because they love and care for us, they don't always tell us the truth.
Correct.
They tell us what we think we want to hear. They don't want to offend us. They don't want to upset us. They don't want to hurt our feelings. So they tell us what they think we want to hear. If you want a proper accountability partner, you need somebody that's going to tell you the truth, call you on your bullshit, and then ask you what you can change to stop that happening again. So if you want to start holding yourself accountable, find somebody like that. You can use a coach as an accountability partner, or you can use somebody. If you've got somebody in your life that you know won't pull the punches and will tell you the truth when you ask them to, that's the person to go and say, will you hold me accountable on this, please? Will you tell me when I'm talking crap? Will you tell me when I'm not doing it and I'm using excuses? That's the person you want. That's the person you want that's going to tell you the truth. Again, you can use a coach by all means, but just find somebody who is going to not listen to the bull stories that you use all the time. Once you've had that for a little while, hang on a second. Once you've had that for a little while, you will then start to figure it out and be able to hold yourself accountable. Because if you're not used to holding yourself accountable, getting an accountability partner to do it for you is really, really good. And then you will start to do it for yourself. And that's how I would start becoming accountable. Now, I finished rabbiting. Over to you.
You're not rabbiting. I actually want to make Tony an offer. Now, Tony is in the Monkey Mind Relaxation Facebook group. I don't know if Tony's still listening. But because you've said that, now I've been part of the 7 a.m. club. But I know that the 7 a.m. club, a lot of things have been happening. And if I hadn't been a part of the 7 a.m. club, I wouldn't be where I am now. Because it was that accountability of every morning I had to turn up and either say there was a win, what did I struggle with, it was 1 hour every morning. So, Tony, I'm going to create now, I'm going to give you an offer, Tony. Tony, would you be interested? Do you think people in the Monkey Mind Relaxation would be interested in a 7:30 a.m. till 8 a.m. morning club, paid service, Tony, paid service, not free like the meditation, to get them going every day from where you are for 12 weeks? What's your goal? And I'll be the person that says, I think you're making a creation of a story, and we will do that. Tony, there's an offer for you. I love that. I think I'm actually going to create that now, because I'm up every morning anyway. I'm an early bird. So 7 o'clock every morning for me. I think I'm going to create a very affordable, and I say affordable, accountability group for...
Will you be finishing your networking by then? I'm just throwing that out there.
I might have to do 3 days a week accountability. 3 days a week. Because, yeah, there's one of the days, there's actually 2 of the days now, because I've got networking groups that I go to that are very early in the morning. Secret handshake. Love that. Tony's gone quiet. Tony.
I think Tony's run away.
Because that accountability and taking inspired action would be a very powerful tool. A very powerful tool in taking inspired action on what you want. And every time some would be up for it or they're not. Tony's not saying I'd be up for that. I love that, Tony.
That's called being non-committal, Tony. Now, come on.
That was very non-committal, Tony. I love that. Very non-committal. So what is it with the accountability that would fall on that one? Fail on that one? Because that's a lot of pressure, isn't it? 3 days a week, you have to turn up and say, this is what I've done towards my goal. This is what I've done. Because accountability works. Accountability works. And somebody else in that group to call them out on a whole group session of, do you think you've created a limiting belief there? And that little moment of, I've done it again, would be an extremely powerful thing for people.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful thing.
And that's why coaches are great for accountability. It's like your client who you mentioned over in the States, when he turns up and goes, I haven't done that this week. I have so many clients that you set a task, an action, a goal between sessions or something like that, and they know they have to get it done because they don't want to come back to me at the next session, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, and say, Graham, I just didn't do that. They want to come and say, yes, Graham, I've done that. Yeah. And that holds them accountable to that. That's why coaches are great accountability partners.
Yeah.
But anybody who's going to call you out on it is going to be an accountability partner. And if you've got a group who you've got to go and say to, I didn't do that, that's powerful too. It could scare the heck out of a lot of people. And there'll be a lot of people who don't join because it will scare them. But the people who truly are willing to make are willing to help themselves, they will see the changes. Just referring back to what we're actually talking about on this this episode today. So the people who actually want to help themselves will make the changes because of that accountability.
Yeah. I think I'm going to create an accountability group for the Monkey Mind Relaxation. I genuinely think, because I that would, believe it or not, that would hold me accountable as well. Love that. Absolutely love that. Tony, you better be in. He says, I think it would be, what will be the goal? You create your own goal. That's the beauty of it, Tony, is you create your own goal. And you get called out by a coach, mind management coach, UK's leading, Tony, I'll have you know. And you get called out on your excuses. Because excuses come from a place of fear. And that's that place of, oh, I didn't like being told what to do. That's creating that mindset that goes back into the victim mindset instead of the growth mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Monkey mind, mindset, accountability. Oh, I don't pick your goal, Tony. You pick your goal. Tony, I don't pick anyone's goals. You have to pick your own goal. What is something that you want? You think, do you know what? I think I'm going to do a really cheap subscription accountability group.
Sounds
absolutely.
Like fun to me.
You know what, Graham? Absolutely. I think that's Tony. Tony, you better be in, son. Yeah, absolutely better be in. Anybody listening, you are all more than welcome to join the account, because that was if you're not willing to help yourself, how do you expect to see the changes? I mean, that's the powerful part of this radio show. How do you expect to see any changes? Now, Tony, you've absolutely nailed it on the head. Exactly, but I have so many. You, outside, you might have too many. Pick one. And I remember Brendan Burchard, when I was going through my journey, Brendan Burchard said, most entrepreneurs, most creative people have 75 ideas. It might have even been Sean T. It might have been Sean T, actually. Sean T, the insanity guy. And he said, you have to pick one, make it successful. Then you start doing this. Once you make that successful, go on to your next idea. Most entrepreneurs, most people are so creative. You create one, stick to the one. And that's what I did, because when I was first going through it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to create it was a tire workout, actually. That's what I was going to create. I was like, no, I've got to stick to Monkey Mind Relaxation. I've got to stick to my brand. That's what it was all about. Absolutely. Fantastic. I can't believe I'm going to go away with a phenomenal idea for the Facebook group. An accountability group. I love it.
Great. Just to answer Tony's question, Tony, ask yourself this. What's most important to you right now?
Yes.
And once you've answered that, figure out which goal will fit to that and go with that one. And that's how you figure that out.
And Tony, thank you very much for being part of the radio show today as well. Thank you very much.
We do love people who comment. It's just awesome.
It does. It makes it a whole new show. It genuinely does. It makes it a whole new show. I know we've got 7 minutes left, and I know we don't normally wait until the last 2 minutes to say what we do. I've got a phenomenal guest on next week, Graham. So I'm going to do a chat about that. Yeah, I really wanted to mention this. I'm not going to be able to see the screen, actually, because I'm going to go to my next week's show. So next week, I have a phenomenal guest coming on. Her name is Rona Morrison. Now, Rona Morrison is a retired NHS consultant forensic psychiatrist.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome. She was a medical doctor who specialized in working with mentally disordered offenders, i.e. mentally ill criminals. These were people who had committed offenses as a direct result of their illness. She also provided expert opinions for the courts for murders and cases with grievous bodily harm and so much more. Provided prisoners with psychiatric input and managed a forensic community mental health service. She has now created a book, but we're going to be talking that the reason we got her on is we actually found out that I wanted to be able to really deep dive the mental health and the mental illness thing. I wanted there to be a real distinguish from an expert, not just from a mind management coach and Graham Nichols of the Priority Academy. So I'm absolutely over the moon that she's going to be a guest next week. So I hope people get the chance to tune in. It's a phenomenal, it's going to be a great show. Lovely Scottish lady that I just met recently. Like, oh my God, you've been amazing in the show. She's just back from Texas. So she's going to be on the show next week, Graham, on Chatter about the Chatter, Monkey Mind Relaxation.
Absolutely fantastic. And it'll be great to get, as you say, the professional's opinion on the difference between mental health and mental illness. That will be fantastic. I will be tuning in to watch that. That will be.
I'm going to deep dive the antidepressants questions as well with her, because I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm intrigued about the questions of antidepressants, of why we give antidepressants for someone who's overthinking.
Absolutely.
And she's got a great book coming out as well, which is I Don't Talk to Dead People. Let me just get you the name of the book, because I think it's going to be quite a good book. I Don't Talk to Dead Bodies, The Curious Encounters of a Forensic Psychiatrist. Now, I love stuff like that. My Netflix is all the serial killers and everything in there. I just watched something recently. I don't know if you've seen it about the Latter-day Saints, about the systems they had in place at the Latter-day Saints, which is an offshoot of the Fundamentalist Mormons, which is new on Netflix. Clearly, you've not seen that, Graham.
Nope, not my sort of thing.
Right. So, Graham, tell us about the Priority Academy. Tell us about you, and tell us about all the fun things that you do.
Where do I start? So, if you're interested in life coaching, or becoming a coach, or becoming a meditation teacher, or becoming learning CBT or EFT tapping, or a whole bunch of other stuff, exactly that one, or a whole bunch of other stuff, if you're interested in that sort of area, then visit the Priority Academy. There are somewhere around 26, 27, maybe 28 courses on there that you can take. They are all relatively inexpensive. I don't believe in this whole charging thousands and thousands for a course. I believe in keeping it inexpensive, so virtually anybody can have access to it. If you run a business, then please get in touch with me, because I have an online mental and emotional health process and support program that you can have in your business, have it completely branded to your business, even have it turned into an app for your business if you want to. So if you run a business, well, then give me a shout, and I will hook you up with that, and that's at a relatively inexpensive price as well. So that's the Priority Academy. So Cuddy, tell us about Monkey Mind Relaxation.
Absolutely. I have been a mind management coach for about 2 years now. Been extremely successful with the Monkey Mind Relaxation brand. Been working with people all over the world, not just on mental health and emotional health, anxiety, overcoming depression. It's actually a lot easier than you would like to believe. And I have a phenomenal course, which some of the feedback I've had for that course that I've created, which is so affordable right now. In fact, Graham, when I tell people, oh, you get to do this, 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 and this one, so how much is it? They're expecting it for like £1,000. I'm like, nope, £79. I did the same thing. I think present state, it should be affordable. A lot of people who are buying it, actually, funnily enough, it's not people who think they've got a mental health challenge. They're just like, they want to really learn something different. They want to learn about the thoughts. They want to learn about the processes that we have. And it's all in there in that course, and it is £79. For Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, by Cuddy Cudworth, the UK's leading mind management coach. Phenomenal. Fantastic. And you can find that at Monkey Mind Relaxation. Go to the website, join the Facebook group.
Absolutely. And so you'll be back next week with your top guest that I'm looking forward to already. I should be watching that. And then we will be back in 2 weeks' time for another hour's discussion on a subject or topic somewhere around the mental health, emotional health type subject, because that's kind of what we do. We help people with their mental and emotional health, and with their mindset, and with living better lives in general. That's Absolutely. What we do, right?
Yes. And we do it with a smile on our face. Tony, thank you for being in the group and the chat.
Absolutely, Tony. You've been an absolute star. We love all your comments. Thank you for the questions. And hopefully Cuddy can answer them all for you. And no doubt you'll be part of Cuddy's new accountability group.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. So affordable. Can you imagine how much change you can make in your life with an accountability group? $7.99. $7.99, Graham. Hold yourself accountable.
Total or a month or what?
A month. $7.99 a month.
Nice. Anyway, we've got 10 seconds left. So, folks, thank you very much for watching. It's been amazing as always. Cuddy, thank you for joining me, or me joining you, or whatever. And we'll say goodbye.
Big love from Cuddy. Bye.
Cena gonna switch us off. Cena gone to sleep.
Cena's gone to sleep because we're still alive. We're still alive.
We're still live. Yeah. Should we keep talking?
Well, I never did Who Stole My Sausage. The last time
Cena... Did you?
I didn't. But the last time Cena disappeared, I did Who Stole My Sausage for 20 minutes. And Cena was like, cut it, because I was in the wrong chat function.
Hang on.
He's here. Right, turn us off, Cena. You've got other things to do. Bye.
Switch us off, Cena. Bye. We gotta go. Bye.